Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Key to Life webinar hosted by the District Kiwanis Family and Foundation Committee. First of all, on behalf of all the hosts, thank you so much for coming out tonight. We know like some of you have midterms and some of us are getting close to finals, but the fact that you're here near the end of the term means a lot to all of the hosts and the entire KFF committee. So we're just going to jump right into it, get started, and hopefully you guys are pumped up to learn more about Key to Life and how it can benefit your members and your Kiwanis and alumni and everything in particular, everything involved. So, hello, my name is Nick Stringfellow. I'm a fourth year at UCLA. This is my 7th year in the Kiwanis family. And to give you an idea of some of my previous experience, this year I served on the DCON committee as the Career Exposition Chair. So I'm planning our Career Expo and working with our Kiwanis and alumni who will be in attendance at DCON. Last year, I was on the District Kiwanis Family and Foundation Committee as the Workshops and Webinars Coordinator. You may have seen some of my puns of previous webinars. And also last year, I was the International Kiwanis Family Committee Chairperson for Circle K International. And the year before that, I was the Kiwanis Family Networking Chair for UCLA Circle K, where I hosted my own Key to Life. And my favorite part about Key to Life is just being able to see all of our members just slowly become more comfortable with, adulthood and all the topics that we covered, and just feel more confident in taking the next step and being able to navigate all the things that they're worried about.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nathan Hager. I'm a third-year student at UC Riverside. This is my 6th year in the Kiwanis family. And in the past, I've served as the Fall Training Conference Sergeant Arms Chair. In that position, I coordinated all the Sergeant Arms volunteers to make sure FTC was a fun and safe time. At the same time, I was also a family head at UC Riverside. And right now, I am the Kiwanis Family Adult Relations Chair at UCR, where I've also had my own Key to Life, which was it was about a month ago. And my favorite part about Key to Life is seeing the members actually get to interact with the alumni and Kiwanians just to figure out the path that they want to take in college.
And I am the third host. I'm Anna Chavez. I am a fourth year at UC Berkeley. This is actually my 8th year in the Kiwanis family. Previous experience I've had with Kiwanis family is that sophomore year, I served as the Club Kiwanis Family Chair for UC Berkeley. That same year, I was on the District Kiwanis Family Committee as a liaison. Last year, I served as Club President, and this year, I am serving as the District Kiwanis Family Foundation Chair. My favorite part about Key to Life probably is seeing the creativity and the variety like a host can put into an event. I've seen a lot of hosts do different things, try new things. And when I see it come to life just by like either seeing their photos or by attending their Key to Life, it's really amazing to see like how proud they are of the event they put on. So what we wanted to cover is kind of the goals of this webinar. It's kind of an outline for you guys to all follow along at home. The 4 things we want to make sure we kind of want to accomplish throughout this webinar is 1, understanding what Key to Life is and the opportunities it provides for your membership, breaking down the planning process of Key to Life, and kind of understanding the different components and what goes into planning a very successful Key to Life. Learn how to bring in Kiwanians and or alumni, because Key to Life could involve just beyond the Kiwanis family, and how them coming in helps educate members. And lastly, see variations of the Key to Life programs that we have seen across the CNH district and also in the past years to understand the different possibilities that you have when you're planning your own Key to Life.
Now, what is Key to Life? Some people ask, isn't it just like Key to College? No, even though it's a similar name, Key to College is more meant for people to learn about life in college. But Key to Life is a program designed to teach attendees about the aspects of professionalism and what life is like after college. So it's more like building yourself up for your future career. So at this event, usually alumni and Kiwanians are invited to take part in the way of maybe hosting workshops, panels, and just hosting various resources for members to be able to learn more about what they want to do after college.
Sweet. So the next thing is, why host a Key to Life? What is the importance of it, and how can your members benefit from it? Well, first of all, it helps maintain strong relations with your alumni. When people graduate Circle K, a lot of the times they may feel out of the loop and want to give back. And personally, I feel that the alumni network that we have in Circle K is huge and has so many resources and so much knowledge to give. And by using your alumni, you can build stronger relationships with them and bring them in, so that way members can learn from their own experiences and help develop their own expertise as they go on to do whatever career they want to do, or take on whatever steps they'd like to be involved in. And also, you can offer opportunities to older members to kind of meet some of the goals that they have for organizations in their later years in college. As people start to get closer to graduation, people may start thinking, okay, what can Circle K do for me as I graduate? How am I learning how to navigate my career, or see what career options work best for me in Circle K? And by hosting a Key to Life, you can offer opportunities just like that to meet some of those goals and help keep your older members engaged, and also give them something that they can take with them as they graduate. And also, you can encourage professional development. This is something that our district has been a huge forefront in, or has been the forerunner in, as over the last few years, just adding a professional development element to our organizations and to our programs. So as your members can learn more about how to navigate networking and talking with older people, or people in their career fields, or just understanding how to write a strong resume, or how to write a strong cover letter, or just know how to talk to people and give elevator speeches and all the stuff that comes with that. This professional development aspect is something that a lot of members are maybe worried about, and you can help address some of those needs by hosting a Key to Life. And the last thing, why host a Key to Life? Because it's something new. It's something that hasn't really been done a lot before, and there's a lot of flexibility that you can use in order to make a program that is impactful for your members, and also impactful for the Kiwanians and alumni who come to your event. So there's a lot of wiggle room for you to kind of create your own thing. And building from the ground up and creating your own Key to Life is super helpful to develop your own Kiwanis family presence with your Kiwanians, your alumni presence with your alumni, and also just making something cool that Circle K members can always look forward to, along with some of the big programs your other clubs might be hosting. And also, if you guys have any questions throughout the webinar, you can always ask in the chat. We're about to hit some big things, and there may be questions about that. So the chat will be the best place to ask those questions, and we can answer those questions at the end during our Q&A session.
Okay, components of a Key to Life. So what makes up a Key to Life program? For mine, the main thing was workshops. You can do whatever you want to do with the workshops. It's what kind of program that you want to be hosting. So just for some examples of what workshops I had at my past Key to Life, we had something for dressing for success, how to land an internship. Kiwanian came and presented on how to join Kiwanis, interview tips. But you don't have to do just professional development kind of workshops. You can also have some fun. So I had stress relief, we had a service project, and we want to balance out members learning about themselves, but not getting too burnt out with too much information. So include some fun workshops into there. Now, panels. Panels are a great way for the attendees to be able to interact with the host all at one time. So if multiple hosts are in the same profession, you can just have a panel and be a much easier exchange of information for the attendees to learn more about what they want to do. Now, breaks. Even with some fun workshops, attendees still get pretty tired. So if you have it in your budget, you can feed them with lunch or dinner. But even just a simple social will do. During my Key to Life, but I had a intermission for a small brief period of time for just a whole bunch of socials, icebreakers, just to allow the attendees to be able to bond with each other. And if they each chose different workshops, that also gives them time to oh, what did you learn at that workshop? Oh, this is what I learned. So it allows them to get more information than what they would have done if they just went to just one section of workshops in the day. Interaction times. So this can be in the way of career expos. During mine, all the alumni were lined up with what profession they were in, and attendees could just walk up to them and just ask how they got into the field, what they wanted to do when they were in college. But it doesn't have to be limited to just professional expos or career expos. It can just be an open space where everyone can just talk to each other and be more one-on-one. And that can be a critical time for attendees to be able to learn the real stuff about what that position is about.
So next up is key points to consider before you start planning. Knowing when to have it, as in picking out the best optimal date possible. Usually this means asking your potential hosts what date would work best for them, just because a lot of times they already have like commitments, whether it's like work related, they already have other friend commitments in the future. So if you kind of have a set idea of hosts that you want there for sure, and these are hosts who would normally, kind of up your attendance, or whose advice and wisdom is something you want to share with the club, you kind of do want to skim around the dates with them. And then also the reason why you also would want to kind of, I guess, propose several dates to them is because a lot of times when you're looking at alumni as well, or even like at your Kiwanis club, a lot of times hosts come in, I guess I want to say like groups and such, where there's kind of like a group of alumni who already are close with each other post college. So kind of giving them the variety of dates could kind of make sure you have the good amount of workshop hosts and panel hosts for the future. And the other thing, of course, is starting early. So starting early, you will always hear it for any kind of event planning. But with Key to Life, it's really essential to start early. Reason why I cannot emphasize this enough is because Key to Life is very dependent on the cooperation with others. And so you kind of need to have necessary logistical elements, and you have to give them enough notice. Especially with Kiwanis and alumni, you also want to make sure you have the right contact info, because you could be sending an email to them asking for their availability and it's the wrong email address, for example. So you want to make sure that you have the right contact info, whether it's the most current email address, phone number or such, or just a point of contact. It's really important to start early just to kind of get through those like maybe small bumps in the road and such.
Sweet. So now we're going to go on to the steps to actually plan your own Key to Life. So a lot of these things we mentioned before, starting early is super, 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 super key. Cannot stress that enough, because as you develop your program, if you're familiar with Key to College and that planning process, that takes a long time as well. And being able to have that time flexibility, but also start proactively enough that way you can get a lot of work done will make execution of the event and the later steps of planning so much easier. So we'll start breaking it down from the very, very, very beginning with goals and outcomes. So before you start planning any kind of event like this, especially if it's something new, you want to think about the goals you want to achieve and the outcomes you want to see for your Circle K members in attendance, for your alumni and Kiwanians, and anyone else who may be coming to your event. And so starting with that, you'll be able to use that as a measurement tool and also something to get back to whenever you're going through the planning and developing your program. You can always go back to and evaluate, say, hey, is this following the outcomes that I want? Or will this help me reach the goal that I have for this event? And the more you do that, the more you go back to that, the stronger base you will have as you continue to make your own Key to Life come to life and like actually happen for the day of the event. Step 2, understanding the needs of your audience. So personally, when I planned my Key to Life a couple of years ago, one of the things I did early on in the planning process, and as I asked my members at a committee meeting, hey, what are some of the things that you want to learn from adults? Like, what are some things that you need help with for adulting that you need to know? And I got a very huge variety of answers, from like changing a tire to doing taxes. That was a popular one. But like a lot of these different topics, like you'll be able to see the things that Circle K members may need. And then you could help tailor your program to meet their needs, so that way they get the biggest benefit out of it possible. And then step 3, setting your location and date. As mentioned earlier, as you set your date, you want to make sure that you give like a variety of dates and like kind of pool beforehand to see what dates work best for your guests. Whenever you invite people, you probably want to give at least like a month or so in advance, so that way people can look at their schedules and make time for you in case their schedules are really packed. So, and the earlier you set your location and date and kind of get that process rolling, the better. And that could depend on like where you're booking your location. So if you're booking on campus, you may have to like go like book a room a long time in advance. If it's on a weekend, it may take forever. For me personally, it took a while to get my room booked, and it was really tough to find like a space. But like the earlier you start, the better, because I held mine on campus. And if you have other locations in mind, you could totally look at that as well. And then also making sure that you have other logistical parts nailed down, the basic, times, the start time and the end times, and things like that. So you know like what to tell people when you invite them, so they know like what the commitments are right off the bat time-wise. And then step 4 is actually developing your program. So knowing, like taking the things that you've learned about your goals and your outcomes and the needs of your audience, you can put together a program. And so that could be from workshops, could be panels, it could be like interactive, like fun sessions. It's really up to you what you want to, like what direction you want to go with that. As long as you reference your goals and your outcomes, you can do a lot of creative things with it, so members can have fun. It doesn't have to be all workshop style. And I think that's something that we kind of get stuck in the idea of, like planning big events like this, like, oh, we have to have all these workshops, but they can be like interactive workshops. You can do like I had like a round robin networking session or like interview skill session where like people would go to different groups and like get like some like little interview tips and like do some small interview practices. And people thought that was really cool. So you never know. And as you develop your program, you'll have like the basic skeleton out, and then from there, you can continue on with the planning process.
And then with step 5, you want to start inviting your guests. You really want to know who you're inviting before you go out to ask them. It could be Kiwanis, alumni, it could be other organizations, it could be even companies outside. Basically, you kind of just want to know who it is you're trying to reach out, and then send invites at least a month before, just so you can guarantee their availability. Schedules are kind of hard to change. So, you really want to be respectful of their time. And another thing is when you're placing the guests on your program for step number 6 is that a lot of times you might need to make accommodations. So, for example, if you're inviting maybe a Kiwanian who has a kid with a, noon soccer practice, you kind of need to schedule that around. And this is something you also want to be asking beforehand, because you don't want to reach like maybe the night before your event and your host tells you, oh, by the way, I won't be able to get there until like 1 p.m. So you kind of want to know when they can show up, and kind of place them around kind of strategically as possible in your program. Step number 7 would be advertising to your attendees. Also, your attendees could be your Circle K club. It could be your division. It could also be your campus. You pretty much are open up to invite anyone you would like. There's a lot of people who benefit from a program such as Keto Life. Like always, make sure you have the proper permissions. If you're inviting outside of the division, to be sending an IRF to your regional advisors and such. And then step number 8, finalize preparations and execute. Final preparations, it kind of comes down to basic event planning 101, such as getting the proper materials. If you're having food, buying the food beforehand, or having a runner and such.
So that's the whole key to life. Woohoo! So with those basic steps, like we said earlier, there are a lot of different variations I can put on it, and lots of different ways you can spin it. So as you plan your key to life, you can set up different settings. You can set it in like more formal or more informal kind of atmospheres. So for example, some of the things that we've done in the past as your host for this webinar, we've done key to life at a restaurant. So just low key, kind of just like hanging out, having dinner. So people can like get to meet each other and have instructional content planned out. Classrooms, you can have a lecture style. My key to life was in a classroom, and it worked kind of well because we split it up similar to like a key to college format. You can also do something super fun, which is a mocktail party rotation. So like mocktails, like mixed drink, mix like fun, like alcoholic drinks, and then just have fun and like rotate between all the guests to make sure that like you can talk to everyone as much as possible, and also just learn new things in the process. And then also, like, as you plan your key to life, ask yourself questions. So one thing that has come up that it could be a good direction to go if you're down for it is, will you allow high school students to come to this event also? So you can invite your key club members and your key wins members. So that's something you could do. And then you could take a more general approach with your content, and like that can kind of direct your programming a little bit. So you can say, okay, like here are some more topics that like could be helpful from our high school students that may not be like super applicable to college students. But also like there's college student topics where like they may not be applicable to high school students. So just keep that in mind as you plan, and you could make it as general or as specific as you want. It's really up to you.
Now, backup plans. You always want to give yourself enough time to plan for things that might go wrong. Some of the things that might go wrong is suddenly your room might change. All the workshops that you planned are now in a different room on campus. So with this, it's really important to plan how you would deal with this, how you would communicate this sudden change to attendees, and what you can do to best make the event go as smoothly as possible. Next thing that could happen, lack of materials. So at least with UCR, we provide our own projectors and laptops. But sometimes someone forgets to bring a laptop that they needed to, or projector breaks, or just doesn't come to the event. And it's really important how you would deal with this. Maybe you would have the host who was going to use that projector or laptop try to improvise the best they can and still presenting the workshop, and just try to do the best that they can. Next thing to happen is just the alumni not coming or showing up on time. Sometimes traffic happens, might get in an accident, who knows, and they just aren't able to come to the scheduled workshop. Something you can do is add a delay to the entire event. Just move everything back, or just cancel that workshop for that time, just to make sure that attendees can still have the most time to experience all the things that they want to learn at this event. No, the more time that you plan for these various possibilities, and there's many more things that can go wrong, is the more that you'll be able to do something about it. It might be a headache now to think about it, but it'll be one less headache that you would have to deal with tomorrow. And also the sign-in link. Some people are having problems with the one posted in the YouTube chat. So it might be best for people to sign in with the link posted on the Facebook page.
Any questions on the chat? We'll be here for a couple of minutes, just answering anything you guys might have in mind. So Eric asked, how do I reach out to alumni for Kita Life? Nick or Nathan, you guys want to take it?
I can take this one. So reaching out to alumni, what I did, I reached out to the alumni that just graduated because I knew them the most, and just find out who are their friends, who did they know that was in Circle K, and just keep doing that for each person that you find. Just making like a small database of them will go a long way towards finding who they are. Maybe add them on Facebook, find their LinkedIn, so that you're able to communicate with them about the event.
Yeah, I can add on too. So something that helps me a lot when I was planning my Key to Life and reaching out to alumni was that my faculty advisor was very connected with our alumni. He has like a huge database of people, and they usually have like alumni dim sum like meals together. So like I knew that that would be probably the best form of like reaching out to alumni and getting their information. Be like, hey, his name is Rich. Well, he's retiring this year, but his name is Rich, and I sent him an email like, hey, Rich, can you like send me the list of some alumni who I can totally invite to Key to Life? And he was very cooperative and helped me a lot. And we got a lot of good alumni that were there to help with the event.
David asked, is it a good idea to combine a Key to Life and Key to College together or have them as their own separate events? For me, I would feel like that is like a lot of heavy planning, but it is definitely possible. I know Magic Kingdom does, or they have done in the past at least. It is a lot to schedule in with a lot of different workshop hosts, different target audiences. But like we mentioned in the Key to Life presentation, Key to Life could also be targeted towards high school students. So it is like very possible to kind of have it both events at the same time, also merge them a little. It is just a lot of planning, so I definitely would have a very kind of good committee with kind of more emphasized roles in what they're doing, such as a workshop host or a administrative person who's dealing with the location and bookings and such.
So while we wait for more questions, there's a little point that I want to add real quickly. So I think like when you think of Key to College, you think of like a big event. With Key to Life, it doesn't have to be a huge event. So I know like there may be some like hesitation, and you may be thinking, oh, like I don't have like a huge club, I don't have all these extra resources, but can I still put one on? The answer is yes. It doesn't have to be a big event for Key to Life. For me, my Key to Life had like 15 attendees and had like 10 guests, like 10 alumni. And Kiwanis who showed up. So like it was very small and very intimate, and that works really well too, because you can get those personal connections in. But really, like it's up to you. I think it's more about providing the opportunities rather than just having like a big event. And like we said earlier, like there's a lot of flexibility with the programming and for the scheduling, so you can do really whatever you want with it.
Joe asked, do we have any resources to help with planning for this event? There is a manual coming out. Other than that, we have this webinar available on YouTube. Sorry, I cough. And then also reaching out to past chairs who have hosted Key to Life. Key to Life is a fairly new program. I believe it's in its 4th year. And so there are very few who have happened across CNH district, but we're hoping to increase that. Eric asks, is there suggestions to reach out to local employers and speakers for the event? Nick or Nathan?
One of the ways that you can reach out for local speakers is, at least at UCR, we have a career center on campus, and they are always down to provide opportunities for speakers of them to come present a workshop about anything. So if you're really looking for some diverse amount of professional development workshops, they can come host like a resume workshop or anything else that you need. For local employers, you can always just ask around. You never know who would be down to actually just host a workshop at the event.
Any other questions?
I guess while we are waiting for more questions, I'll just add on to another point. You are never alone when planning this event. You have your entire club board that you can also rely on. I wouldn't have gone through my key life if I didn't have the help of my graphics chair or my newsletter chair or anyone else on my appointment board or elected board to help me out in planning and hosting the various aspects of the event.
When is it a good time to host this event? Nathan, Nick?
I think that really kind of varies on like when you feel is best. I think, I mean, personally, I held mine winter quarter, which is like right before the term ended, because it was like the last thing I wanted to do as a KFAM chair. But you can really plan it whenever. I think like if you're trying to add more professional development, like networking and applying for jobs and things like that, the earlier the better, like fall or winter, just because that'll give time for members to apply what they learned in the spring as they like look for jobs and whatnot if they're graduating this year or looking for internships during the summer or things like that. But if you want, but you really have the flexibility of hosting it whenever you'd like. I think it's just kind of a question of like when do you feel like works best with your guests and your Kiwanis and your alumni, and from there like you can plan it for whatever you want.
Josephine asks, how long does a Key to Life typically last? Example, average number of workshops / typical schedule, etc.
Well, again, I feel that it's also subjective on what kind of event you want to have. My Key to Life last month was from 11 a.m. But it can really be as long as you want, how many workshops you want to put in there, what kind of panels or different kind of interactions that you want to have the attendees participate in. And for number of workshops, I had 10 workshops. So you can have gaps in your schedules, have different rooms empty at various times. Just what kind of event you want to host is the kind of schedule that you would try to aim for.
And for an example, for my Key to Life, what I believe my structure was, it started around 10 a.m. It ended until like 2. We had like an hour or so of workshops. It was like professional half and then like life hacks, I guess, half. Professional workshops were in the beginning where it's just like interview prep and like elevator speeches. There's like doing like a round robin kind of style, like going around and like rotating between guests. At a short lunch break of like 30 minutes, and then we did like life specific workshops. So I held the 2 workshops we had. I think we might have had more, but I don't remember them off the top of my head. But the ones I remember for sure, it was personal budgeting. Money is hard. Money is hard. So that was something that people really liked. And then also like living on your own once you like go out of college, like finding an apartment, finding a place to live, like looking for a job that accommodates your needs, and also looking for locations that accommodate your needs. Figuring out rent, groceries, and all that good stuff. And then after that, it was just like a free panel style with all the guests, and then everyone went home.
What are some good examples of not so obvious but good workshops to have at Key to Life? Asked Andy.
One of the workshops that my attendees actually liked the most was a Real Talks workshop. And this allowed attendees to get like the actual feeling of what life is after college, what struggles the alumni went through, getting a job or just building up their resume. And the attendees just really got to build that close connection. It's not that kind of workshop that you would think of having, but it was definitely a good one and an impactful one for the attendees.
I think for me, a good kind of more professional one that I saw at UC Davis Kiddo Life this last weekend was probably the taxes. Just because, when you graduate, taxes do change. Even though some people already do taxes now, like students, it does change when you're outside of college. That was a really good one. A very casual, good one that I remember Berkeley enjoyed a few years back was relationship advice by the Carpenters. And it was actually fun. It was supposed to be a how to own like a business workshop, but it turned into relationship advice. She just like Regina Carpenter just like kind of like scratched out the board and she was like, "This is gonna be relationship advice now," and then she went at it for a good 30 minutes. It was great. Any last minute questions?
The words of Taylor Swift, speak now. Okay, sorry. That was a bad joke. But yeah, if you have any last minute questions, definitely ask them.
Calvin. Could we invite non-Circle K members to attend this event, such as students on the campus? Yeah, so that's something we brought up during the webinar. When you're inviting your attendees, feel free to invite mostly, it could be definitely your membership, obviously your club membership. Also, I've seen a lot of clubs invite their campus as well. You can invite campus students because it's a good tool for them as well, but it's also a great recruitment method as well.
Just to add on to that point, always check in with your student life on campus on if they need anything additional and materials information about who you're inviting, so that you're not in any chance to get in trouble with having people come to the event.
And also, if you invite people outside of Circle K, it's also a good way for people to learn about Circle K, using your Kiwanis and alumni as a recruitment tool. Ha ha ha. That's something you could definitely do. And there's lots of resources on your campuses, hopefully, so you can like advertise the event and make the event bigger, and hopefully have more people come and learn about the Kiwanis family and the benefits of it. Okay, so that's going to wrap up our Q&A session. Thank you to everyone who asked questions. We really do appreciate all the great questions you all asked. It was great to share some of our knowledge and kind of tackle some of the questions that you'll be asking as you plan your own key to life. So now we're just going to wrap up the webinar. So thank you all for coming. On behalf of all the hosts, you guys are amazing. Thank you for coming out on 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night. Just spend some time with us and enjoy the last webinar for the KFF committee. Our contact information is on this last slide. So if you have any questions about anything you heard during this webinar or think you want to hear more about our experiences, you can check that out. And also don't forget to sign in if you have not already, so you can get credit for attending this webinar, and your secretary should get information about all the attendance soon. So yeah, thank you so much for coming, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Stay warm, stay well, and hopefully we'll see you all at DCon coming up in 2 weeks. # go to DCon 2018. Whoop, whoop.